Hey, it's Kurt Eulie Kinsey, La Jolla's Man About Town, and one of the most fun things I get to do is connect you with the people that make up the La Jolla community and the businesses. And today I am sitting here with lovely Miss Debbie Beacham, who happens to be one of the pioneers in women's professional surfing. So we're going to have a little conversation with Debbie today. Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Hi, Kurt. Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you've been surfing a little while.
Yeah, that's true.
How long have you been surfing?
Well, my dad was in the Navy, so we moved to La Jolla in about 1966.
Okay.
So that's when I got my first surfboard.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's
right here in La Jolla?
rough.
Yep. So from starting back in the 60s, 70s, even in the 80s, it really wasn't a women's sport yet, correct?
Well, surfing has an interesting history. You know, it was a lifestyle sport. It still is a lifestyle sport,
Right.
but along the way, there were amateur events. The things that were really inspirational for me, like watching the 1966 World Contest at Ocean Beach Pier
Yep.
with people like Duka Hanamoku and my icons of surf, which would have been like Joyce Hoffman, Linda Benson. Those people were who I looked up to, and that was amateur surfing in its purest form. And then by the 70s, late 70s, we started throwing money around into the sport, and it became a pro sport in about 77 for women, 76 for men. And
Is that close between the two?
well, it started with the same two guys, Fred Hemmings and Randy Rarick, started a pro tour.
Okay.
But they only offered the world title the first year, 76, to PT, which is in 1976, Peter Townend won the world title, but there was no women's world champion at that year. So 77, word was out, hey, go on this tour, somebody can win the world title. So in 77, we had our first world champion, which was Margot Oberg, and at the time, Margot Godfrey. And then 77s all the way up till now, it's just been an adjustment all along the way to get better conditions, better sponsorships, better prize money. And so today I'd say it's in a really good spot.
That's awesome. So how long were you on the pro circuit?
I was actually touring about 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was brutal. I mean, it was fun as you can imagine. I mean, traveling from Japan, Brazil, Europe. We would go to Fiji. You know, we had a lot of events all over the place.
Right.
But it was very disjointed at the time when I was traveling. And it was hard because, you know, they'd have an event in Hawaii, and then all of a sudden there's one in New York, and then there's one back in California. And you just had to really be able to sort of connect the dots on all of those events without much prize money. And, you know, showing up was an expensive an occurrence. And so at the end of the day, you made it to all the events, but you didn't really make any money because you spent it to get there.
Right. What was your favorite surfing experience? What was your favorite spot to surf?
It's changed over time, but in those years, I have to say Sunset Beach was...
Right here?
No, Sunset Beach, Hawaii.
Hawaii, okay.
The North Shore.
Okay.
Just because I lived there on the North Shore for many, many winters and lived right there at the Sunset Beach access. And I was so lucky I got it in so many different conditions, but when we would have these events and the waves were 15 to 20 feet and it's just an amazing feeling to ride a wave like that.
Right. What's the scariest experience you've had?
Probably one of those days at sunset, being held under a couple waves at a time. You know, it's not very forgiving there. You have to really know what you're doing. The biggest lesson I learned there was never, ever, ever paddle for a wave unless you think you're going to catch it. Unless you know you're going to catch it.
Unless you know you're going to catch it, right.
And then go. Because you would learn the hard way, which is, I'm going to attempt to paddle for a wave, and then, oops, I didn't get it, but the one behind it just pummeled you all the way to the beach.
Yep.
So you had, and in those years, you know, nobody was really a coach, nobody was a caddy. Like today, it's very professional.
Yeah.
And in our years, it was, you know, get out there and compete.